This episode is not about memorizing physics terms. It's about reclaiming who gets to explain reality. Because I said quantum computing is coming, and it is trying to change your reality. Quantum mechanics isn't magic. It's not hype. It's a language for uncertainty, and uncertainty is something you already know how to navigate every day. Big Mama wasn't anti-science. She was anti-nonsense. You don't have to be a physicist to understand the rules of the room. You're already doing quantum. Welcome back to Becoming Big Mama, the podcast where wisdom isn't just old school, it's the cheat code for right now. I'm your host, Cassaundra, and you're back in my quantum kitchen. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. Think less sterile lab, more Sunday dinner with your favorite people, foods on the stove, conversations flowing, and somebody's always asking a good question. Today, we're going to talk about quantum Big Mama and your quantum nature. And if you think quantum mechanics and Big Mama don't have anything in common, stick around and I'll prove just that and more. First of all, let me start here. Why should you care about quantum mechanics at all? Well, quantum computing is going to impact your life, just like AI did, but in a different way than AI did, like not as loud, not as flashy and sexy creative, quieter. Like by the time everybody's talking about it, people who have already understood the basics will be 10 steps ahead. Now, hold on. Before you check out, this is not a physics lecture. This is not sci-fi, but most importantly, this is definitely not for other people. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand exactly what people mean when they say quantum without feeling dumb or overwhelmed like this doesn't belong to you. Because here's the truth. You're already doing quantum, and Big Mama been teaching us quantum. Only difference is she just didn't call it that. So let's get into it. What is quantum mechanics? Quantum mechanics is just the name we give to the rule book for how the tiniest parts of the universe behave, like electrons, atoms, energy. It's not magic. It's a formal scientific language for uncertainty for systems where context matters and outcomes aren't fixed until something happens. In other words, that's discernment, not sci-fi. My Big Mama used to say to me, still waters run deep. Now, this proverb shows up a lot in Black households, especially in the South. It's very old. It's traveled through churches, through kitchens, through front porches and underground railroads. And what it means is simple. Just because something looks calm and quiet and simple on the surface doesn't mean that there isn't a whole lot going on underneath. So don't underestimate what you can't immediately see, and don't assume that the surface tells the whole story. That proverb alone will take you very far in life, trust me. And also in quantum mechanics, because quantum is all about the hidden layers of reality. Now let's ground this for a second in some history. In 1900, Max Planck discovered something strange, that energy doesn't flow smoothly like how we might think about a stream or a river. Instead, it comes in these little packets. He called these little packets quanta, and that one insight, that energy is discrete and not continuous and flowy like a river, explained how atoms absorb and emit energy and laid the foundation for modern physics. And we all benefit from modern physics every day, even if you don't understand it. It's helping us. It eventually earned him a Nobel Prize. Translation: reality at a small scale does not behave the way our intuition expects. Still waters running deep. Example, Big Mama's house. Picture Big Mama's house. Now picture Big Mama's kitchen specifically, but picture Big Mama's kitchen at dinner time when she's not in the room. What's happening? People are snacking instead of waiting for dinner. Uncle Reggie tasting the pot early, talking about, I'm just checking the seasoning. Nigga, no, you're not. Cousin Darius got his music loud, pants sagging, playlist is disrespectful. Auntie Cheryl cutting corners on the family recipe because she swear we ain't gonna notice. Folks talking about who they slept with last night, all the things you're not supposed to be talking about around your elders. If you were raised right? Anything could be happening. Hell, everything is happening, right? And then Big Mama walks in and everything changes. Uncle Reggie puts the spoon down, Cousin Darius pulls his pants up and lowers the music, and Aunt Cheryl suddenly following the family recipe to a T. All that chaos collapses into order. Big Mama used to say, everybody gonna act right when somebody watching. And that right there, that's quantum mechanics. More specifically, that's an example of the concept of observation. And here's the key. At the quantum level, observation is not passive. Simply by watching changes the system. Big Mama being there changes everything. And if you want a real-world example of this, we're watching it happen right now. Look at what's happening with the protests against ICE. Before people show up to defend or warn immigrant communities, a lot of different outcomes are possible. Protesters are trying to anticipate what ICE will do. ICE is trying to anticipate what protesters will do. There's fear, there's restraint, there's escalation, there's de-escalation. Multiple realities are existing at the same time. And it may not feel like it, especially when negative outcomes happen. But you being there very much matters. The moment people enter the system, the moment bodies, cameras, witnesses, and attention shows up, those possibilities of anything's possible, right, start to collapse. What happens depends on who's watching, how many are watching, and what kind of attention is being applied. That's not a metaphor, that's physics. Observation changes behavior. Presence changes outcomes. Big Mama walking into the room works the same way. The system knows it's being seen, and its show gonna behave differently. Now, back to Big Mama's kitchen, right? Before Big Mama walked in, that kitchen existed in what we would call superposition. Superposition just means that there are multiple possible states existing all at the same time. Auntie Cheryl's food could turn out amazing, or it could be a mess. It wasn't decided yet, but this is similar to how Big Mama would say, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And that's exactly the point. Because in physics, all those endless possibilities are described by something called the wave function. Now, don't flip out. I'm just letting you know that that's just a mathematical way of saying, here's everything that could happen. And that's just probability. Now, when Big Mama walks in, all that possibility collapses, as I said before. Choices get made. That's what you would call a wave function collapse. All those possibilities become one realistic moment in time and space. And in Big Mama words, you made your bed, now you gotta lay in it. One outcome becomes reality for all observers. Let's get back into some history now. You know I love me some history. In 1905, Albert Einstein pushed this idea even further than Max Planck, right? He proposed that light itself comes in packets, quanta, instead of flowing like a river. Now we call that photons, right? Max Planck kind of discovered that it was in packets, but Einstein's about to push that forward. So what we now call photons, this explained the photoelectric effect and showed that light behaves as both a wave and a particle. Remember what I was saying about it does matter how you're observing, who's observing, what's observing. We're about to talk about observation here. So light behaves as a particle and a wave, and that was deemed the wave-particle duality. Now, all that means is that we're dealing with the same thing, they just have different behaviors, like Cousin Darius before and after Big Mama walked in the room. Same person, different behavior, depending on how you look at it. Now, Big Mama already knew this too, right? She used to teach that every shut eye ain't sleep. Now, if you've never had a Big Mama or a family like this, I'll show you one better. Let's switch scenes a little bit. Let's say you're sitting in a classroom and your test, yes, it's a paper test, not those digital ones, is face down awaiting the start of the exam. Now, I've been there. I've sat in class staring at a test, face down, heart racing, knowing shit was about to get real and everything could change once I look at it. And before you flip it, you could ace it. You could bomb it. Hope, fear, confidence, dread, all of that exists at once. Again, that's superposition. The moment you turn the paper over, reality locks in. That's the measurement of a wave collapse. And that collapse, Big Mama would say, just shrug and say, only time will tell. Here's another key idea. In quantum mechanics, there's something called the uncertainty principle. It means the more precisely you know one thing, the less precisely you know the other. You'll never get the full picture at once. Again, still waters run deep. In 1935, this is my guy. I like this guy. Schrödinger. Y'all heard of him? He introduced his famous cat experiment. The point actually wasn't about cats. It was this question, when does probability turn into reality? His thought experiment challenged the idea that observation doesn't matter. But spoiler, it does. Because if watching changes the outcome, then observation isn't neutral. It's power. Big Mama knew that too. She would have called it watching the watchers, because who's paying attention and what they're paying attention to changes the whole room. That's why you're not outside of the system looking in. The moment you show up every day, you're a part of what happens next. So let me say this clearly. This episode is not about memorizing physics terms. It's about reclaiming who gets to explain reality. Because I said quantum computing is coming, and it is trying to change your reality. Quantum mechanics isn't magic. It's not hype. It's a language for uncertainty. And uncertainty is something you already know how to navigate every day. Big Mama wasn't anti-science. She was anti-nonsense. You don't have to be a physicist to understand the rules of the room. Now, as I said earlier, still waters run deep. You're already doing quantum. You've just been doing it without the vocabulary of scientists. And whether that's in a kitchen or a classroom or a public square, like fighting off ICE protests, your presence matters. What you pay attention to matters. And understanding that's how you stay grounded instead of overwhelmed. Remember, still waters run deep. In the next episode, we're going to talk about quantum computing a little bit more deeply, how these same principles are shaping a new technology that affects all of us. I mean, all of us. And later we'll go deeper into discernment and how quantum principles overlap with intuition, judgment, and wisdom, and help you navigate the uncertainty that we live in today. As always, I'm Cassaundra, and this is Becoming Big Mama, a podcast where we talk about timeless wisdom that meets our digital age. So if you like this content, subscribe to Becoming Big Mama, the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Add me on TikTok or Instagram for more behind the scenes content. And until then, stay safe, stay quantum, and I'll see you right here next time in my quantum kitchen. Peace.